Hello class. In our textbook we study 3 different methods of depreciation. So I'm using a simple example that is similar to what you have on your homework, and we're going to go through each one of them with the formulas. The first one is straight line, which is the easiest of the 3 methods. We simply take cost minus residual value divide by the useful life. So in this case we have a cost of 250,000, residual value 50. 250 minus 50, we have $200,000, and we divide that by 10 years, so that's going to give us 20,000 of straight line depreciation each year. In this case, there is no partial year because we started this on January 1st. So in the first year, we take 20,000 of depreciation expense, and in the second year, we have the same amount. At the end of the second year, we want to determine its net book value. We can see our formula as it's indicated here. It's the original cost minus the depreciation to date. We see that we have $40,000 of depreciation to date. The original cost was $250. 250 minus 40 gives us 210. So that is our nice and easy straight line. Now let's look at the next method. This method is called the units of production method, and there are 2 formulas we need to keep track of. The first formula gives us the rate that we need. So what we're going to do is similar to the straight line method. We're going to take cost minus the residual value. 250 minus 50, we have 200,000 in our numerator. This time we're going to divide not by useful life in years, but the estimated output. In this case, it's 100,000 units. So over its life, we expect to make 100,000 units with this machine. 200,000 divided by 100,000 gives us a rate of $2 per unit. Now, of course, that doesn't give us depreciation expense. So you can note here there is another formula that says, how do we find depreciation expense? We take that rate per unit, and then we look at the actual units that are produced each year. That'll give us the depreciation expense for that year. So let's look at actual output during year 1. It was 12,000. We take 12,000 and we multiply that by the depreciation rate, which we already determined to be 2. 2 times 12, that'll give us 24,000 in depreciation expense in year 1. When we get to year 2, we still use the same rate. There's no change in estimates at this point, so we're going to say $2. Now let's look at the actual units produced in the second year, and that was 8,000 units. 2 times that 8,000 will give us 16,000. So after 2 years, it appears to be 40,000 in depreciation expense taken. So what does that mean? When we get down to the second part and we have to find net book value, we'll take 250,000, the original cost, minus the accumulated depreciation, which is 40,000, and that'll give us our net book value at the end of year 2 of 210. Our third method is called double declining, and it is the most complicated of the 3 methods. Again, we have 2 formulas. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the rate. The rate for this is 2 divided by useful life because it's double declining. So in this case, we have a 10-year useful life. 2 divided by 10 is going to give us a percentage of 20%. So getting the rate was the first of the 2 formulas. The second formula is listed here below, and it's called net book value at the beginning of the period times our rate. So net book value, we know that is cost minus accumulated. So the original cost was 250. At the beginning of period 1, we have 0 accumulated depreciation. So net book value at the beginning of the period for year 1 is 250,000. We multiply that by our rate of 20%. So year 1, we have double declining depreciation expense of $50,000. Now things get a little bit complicated for year 2. Now we have to find net book value at the beginning of period 2. What we're going to do is we're going to take the original cost, 250, subtract out the depreciation expense of year 1. Now we're down to 200. So $200,000 times 20% gives us $40,000. So notice I did not use that formula cost minus residual value in any way here. So After 2 years, I take my acquisition cost, 250, take my accumulated depreciation of 90,000, and my net book value ends up being 160,000. Now, if you had been asked to do year 3, you would take 160,000 as your net book value and then multiply that by 20%. So each year we end up having a smaller amount of depreciation expense. Because double declining always takes a percentage of that net book value, it'll never go all the way to zero. Like the book value will never go to zero. So there is a special method for dealing with net book value and depreciation expense towards the end of the life when you're using double declining balance. But to get through these 3, just years 1 and 2, it looks like you've got enough information, and I hope this video has helped.